He's just a security guard," my wife's mom said with a laugh, loud enough for the wedding guests around her to hear. I wasn't close enough to respond, and honestly, I didn't need to. I'd heard that tone before, the kind that dripped with condescension, as if my worth was measured by the title on my business card. She'd never liked me, never thought I was good enough for her daughter. I was standing near the bar, speaking with an old friend, when the shout came from somewhere near the dance floor. "Holy shit, he's on the news." The music didn't even have time to fade before heads turned toward the giant flat screen hanging above the bar. The reception had been at a swanky hotel, and apparently, someone had switched the channel from a sports highlight to the evening news. There I was, on screen in uniform, not the cheap mall security getup my mother-in-law had always imagined, but the black and gray tactical gear of a Federal Protective Services officer. The footage showed me, just 2 days earlier, disarming an armed man outside a courthouse, pulling 2 civilians to safety, and holding the suspect until local police arrived. The hotel went quiet except for the reporter's voice narrating the incident, praising the quick action of a highly trained security specialist whose identity is being withheld for safety. Except they hadn't blurred my face. I turned toward my wife and her mother. Both of them stood frozen, champagne glasses slipping from their hands and shattering on the floor. The sound cut through the silence. You could almost hear the gears turning in their heads, replaying every dismissive comment they'd made about me. But here's the thing. This story isn't about that moment on the news. It's about what had already been rotting under the surface long before that wedding day. 3 months before, I'd begun noticing subtle changes in my wife. Late nights at planning meetings for the wedding that ran way too late for choosing flowers and seating charts. Texts she'd quickly hide when I walked in the room. A coldness that didn't match the excitement we were supposed to be feeling. I'd brushed it off at first, thinking maybe it was wedding stress. But then I saw her phone light up at 1:17 a.m. one night. A message from someone saved as K. It read, "Can't stop thinking about last night." I'm not proud of what I did next, but I picked up her phone and scrolled. K wasn't a wedding planner or co-worker. He was a photographer we'd hired for some pre-wedding shoots. The same guy she'd gush about for his artistic eye and good energy. What I found in those messages was enough to crush whatever illusion I had left. Photos, plans to meet, the kind of intimacy that didn't happen by accident. I didn't confront her right away. I was trained for patience, for gathering every detail before making a move. Over the next few weeks, I tracked her meetups, collected screenshots, and quietly prepared myself for reality I didn't want to face. The woman I was about to marry had already chosen someone else. The wedding day came anyway. Call me foolish, but I wanted to see it through. Not because I still wanted her, but because I wanted her to see me for who I really was before I walked away. Her mother's jab about me being just a security guard was almost amusing. She thought she was embarrassing me. In reality, she was setting herself up for the most poetic reversal I could have imagined. When the news footage aired and the room realized what I actually did for a living and what I'd risked to protect strangers, my wife's face turned pale. She knew then that she'd misjudged me, that the man she'd been cheating on could stand taller than anyone else in that room. Without saying a word, after the initial shock passed, the whisper started. Guests approached me, shaking my hand, thanking me for my service. Her mother avoided eye contact completely. My wife tried to smile like nothing had happened, but her hands trembled. When dinner ended, I stood, tapped my glass, and waited for silence. I want to thank everyone for being here. I began. It's been a beautiful evening. But before we continue, there's something you all should know. I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out a small envelope. Inside were printed screenshots, her text to Kay, hotel receipts, time-stamped photos. I placed them on the head table in front of her and stepped back. You can all decide for yourselves if this is the kind of person we're celebrating. Gasps rippled through the room. My wife's eyes filled with tears, but not the kind that begged for forgiveness. These were the tears of someone who'd been caught. I left before anyone could follow me. Outside, the night air was cool, quiet, honest. I didn't take the car I'd arrived in. I walked, letting the hum of the city drown out the echo of the wedding that never should have happened. Later that night, I got a text from an unknown number. You deserved better. We all saw it tonight. I never found out who sent it, but I didn't need to. I already knew the truth, that my value was never in a job title, never in my wife's approval, and certainly not in her mother's opinion. And in the end, they both learned the same lesson at the exact same moment. Underestimating someone doesn't change who they are. It just makes you blind to what they're capable of